I'm the kind of person that has to be getting more than one benefit out of something if I'm going to do something, if it's going to be worth my while. I've already talked about how I have to do my due diligence, and when I do decide to get involved in something and I jump in, you know, both feet first. I go all the way. And one of the things that really cemented my belief early on was that I met with our upline fairly early. I remember that this person was in town in the town in Southern California, Central California that I lived in, and I will never forget that day. I drove over to her hotel, which was, one of the fanciest hotels in Santa Barbara. And I'm driving my Prius, and we meet by the pool. And she is very nice, tells me this whole story. And like, I'm a feeling person. I go with my gut. And I kept trying to look for the catch. I kept trying to see, where's the trick? What's being, what's the deal here? And I never found that. It was very, very clear to me that if you put the work in, if you continued to put the work in and you dedicated yourself, you would see your hard work pay off. In a nutshell, is I'm going to keep it to that for the purposes of this series. And because I had already had my own business, and I was used to, entrepreneurship and, hustling, and like, so I knew that like it was an investment at first, an investment in time, and that you wouldn't necessarily start seeing money up front, and that there was a lot of legwork that you wouldn't necessarily be getting compensated for. So the biggest complaint that a lot of people have is like, oh my God, I never did. Well, did you do anything? What'd you do? You sat around and waited. Sweetheart, it's not it's not a job where you can like dilly dally and then you'll still get the paycheck. No, you actually have to do something, and you're not compensated on your efforts. You're only compensated on your results. So anyway, though, this person again presented themselves very well. We were aligned in a few different ways. One thing that I did kind of like that, for lack of a better term, kind of attracted me to this person, that we were kind of on the same level, is that she also had a gay son. So, anyway. Oh, I wasn't even out at the, oh God, I can't, anyway, I wasn't even out yet at the time, which is, I know sometimes people find that so crazy to believe. I had just gotten out of a 3-year relationship with a girl. I know, I was with a girl for 3 years, and we had a great relationship, but anyway. So, the other thing that I found very intriguing about this business opportunity and this business model was that, aside from the fact, like, this person has an MBA, lots of people with not only college degrees, but like professional degrees. So this whole idea that, oh, these are people that don't know what they're, absolutely not. But I will talk a little bit later about, for all intents and purposes, this is all hearsay, right? Like, oh, sure, they could be lying. They could be lying about the people you see you know what I'm saying? Like, you're always looking for, the catch, where is it? So, however, the other thing that really, really intrigued me is that any person that made it to the top of the compensation plan, which the other thing I really liked is that this company made it very simple. 4 levels, that's it. And not like these other companies have like all these insane levels and their compensation plan is like insanely complicated and all that. No, it was actually very, very straightforward, and I like that. And like I said, anybody that made it to the top of the company had to start out at the bottom. Everybody starts out at the bottom. Everybody starts out in the same place. Now, here's the thing. What I did not like, and what I came to disgust me, we'll talk more about this, is that's privilege comes into play. So they're after a certain point, you really get sick and tired of hearing these same white women who've been handed everything in life tell you, everything, it's up to you. What do you mean you can't whip out your husband's Rolodex of business cards and drum up some business? You know what I mean? So the privilege factor starts to set in, but we'll get to that. That didn't come yet. But when people, my favorite response came when people were like, oh, you're involved in like a pyramid scheme. I'm like, shut up and go back to your pyramid bank, where the tellers don't make as much as the bankers, don't make as much as the vice presidents, and those make as CEO, right? The CEO makes however much more than that's a pyramid. That's a real pyramid. And it's legal, and you have no problem wasting your time in one of those things. Here's the other thing. A teller will never, ever reach the CEO top, no matter how hard they work, no matter how hard they work, okay? No matter how much they duplicate their efforts. And speaking of that, that's the other thing that really, really attracted me, is that when you're an entrepreneur, you know how to manage your time. And one thing that I loved is that as a solopreneur, I can only do so much. But when you have the team and you're working together and your efforts are, cumulative, right? Your efforts are together. That to me is like, oh wow, so I can have the work of like 10 people, right? And we're working together. Here's the other thing. Here's the kicker. You will not be successful unless you help the people under you be successful. So in order for you to be successful, you have to help and it's not employees, but you have to help your downline be successful. So all of these things are things that I just found to be such a smarter way of doing business, and genius. And I maintain those. I do maintain those beliefs to this very day.